What's up, everybody? Bren here. Today we have a special guest, somebody we had on a couple months ago, but I'm excited to have him back on. Basement Ron, or originally just Ron's Basement. But Ron, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, Bren, and it's a big honor to be back on here with you and to get to talk with you and your audience and the UFD community members who are here as well.
Yes, sir. Right on. Yeah, today obviously gold and silver are in the headlines. The last few weeks in general, obviously going on a crazy run, and then just today coming down pretty hard. For those of you guys don't know, a lot of you guys probably know Ron from the unicorn fart dust fame, which we'll talk a lot about that as well. But Ron has been investing in gold. Remind me, Ron, when did you start investing in gold? In the 90s, 80s?
Yeah, probably the late '90s, and then I really focused a lot more. I love gold, don't get me wrong, but I really love silver.
Silver. Yeah.
Silver was what I moved into.
Awesome. So yes, he's a silver and gold bug. He has a channel on YouTube called Ron's Basement, where he talks mostly. He talks. I've seen the streams. He talks other stuff as well, but mostly silver and gold. So excited to hear his thoughts on the market in general. Also, we'll go into some Bitcoin and crypto stuff. We'll hear what's going on lately with UFD. But before we go ahead and get started, if you guys could please like, comment, retweet, share, follow. And then also in the chat, let me know if you guys, one, if you're from the UFD community, two, let me know where you guys are tuning in from, and let me know if it's the first time in the stream today. I see Mike, Diamond Pug, what's up, guys? But yeah, Ron, how has the last couple months in general been for you since we last talked?
Yeah, things have been great. Obviously the precious metals market exploded higher, almost kind of a mania phase, I think you could call it. In unicorn fart dust, I mean, we've got a lot of exciting things going on, but the community just keeps showing up every single day. So it's been an exciting couple months for me from a crypto unicorn fart dust perspective, and then obviously with the gold and silver component thrown in there as well.
Right on. Let's just go ahead and get in right into gold and silver. And like I said, if you guys are just coming in, we're with Basement Ron. And we'll talk about Bitcoin, which obviously is I think in a pivotal point and stuff a little bit later. But let's just go ahead and pull up gold and silver. Obviously, the last few months have been an insane time for metals in general, going from, this summer, gold, at least from 3,200 all the way up to 5,600 now. Silver going over 100 as well. What do you? I know. First of all, you told us a little bit about your bull case for gold long term and silver long term and stuff, which you can go a little bit over into. But you see on a lot of these Twitter spaces, I see a lot of people attribute this move to gold to some type of impending doom or some type of financial crisis, right? That the dollar is going to collapse because the DXY is coming down at the same time. What do you attribute this move to on gold? I know it's multifaceted and pretty complicated, but just simply what do you make of this move of gold the last few months, or what do you think's kind of pushed it?
Yeah, and I want to point out gold and silver are very similar, but there's also some key differences. So when you look at gold, I would say a couple primary drivers. Number one, the world geopolitical situation. For most of the viewers, I'm kind of an older man. I'm 55 years old, but I can say that, like in my lifetime, we have not had geopolitical turmoil at the level that we've seen here in the last, let's say, 5 years, and it continues to, it feels like, escalate to a certain degree. But on top of that, Bryn, the other thing that's going on is the world financial system, the fiat money systems and the level of debt that we have throughout the world is also contributing to this. So you have the situation where countries owe each other a bunch of money, and I mean trillions and trillions of dollars, right? And at the same time, these countries are starting to not trust each other as much, and gold and silver, for that matter, have been, like, for thousands of years, have been kind of this intermediary or universal form and store of value. So what we're seeing are the world's big central banks, right? And you have to understand that when it comes to financial sophistication, no one is more sophisticated than the world central banks. And the world central banks are moving away from the US dollar, and they've been buying a lot of gold. So I guess, in 60 seconds, that's really what's happened for gold. And yeah, gold, I remember I was in Canada at a gold mine, visiting a gold mine, like, I think it was 2.5 years ago. I was talking to the CEO of the company, and I said, "Do you remember when we were sitting at the airport together and we were excited because gold hit $1,800?" I mean, gold has just been on a real tear. To touch on what you said about the impending doom or whatever, I also remember just literally 2 or 3 years ago, like some of the leading analysts in the precious metal sector saying, you may not want to live in a world where we have $5,000 gold. And lo and behold, we got it. Now we have people who are talking about the potential. I mean, big banks, right? BMO Bank, Citibank. I mean, big banks that are talking about gold prices of seven, eight, nine, $10,000.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think it's just again, yeah, $5,000. You don't want to live in that world. I think it's just again, um, more to do like what you said with the debasement of the currency over
Yeah,
time, obviously, and the mix of what you said, what's going on geopolitically.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. They
so
stole, by the way, Bryn, they stole that because that's the debasement trade, and we always said in the basement that it was the basement trade. So, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. That's funny. So, how have you noticed, like on the YouTube channel? I was checking a little bit out recently. Has there been a big influx of people coming in? Has in the chat, is everybody
yeah.
just electric? Like, what have you noticed in the last few months streaming about gold and silver versus maybe even a few months back when not as many people were paying attention?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I joke around and say that my increase in popularity in the gold and silver community must be because of my dynamic personality and good looks. But the reality is that when there's it's like crypto. When there's a spike in Bitcoin, or when crypto gets hot, more people watch content that's oriented towards. So yeah, definitely, there's been a huge increase in people watching my gold and silver content, and a lot of younger people as well. The gold and silver sector for a long time had been dominated by a demographic that was mostly male. Like 85% of people that would watch my channel were male, and they were mostly my age, around my age, or older. And what I've noticed is more females coming in, and also a lot more younger people as well.
Yeah, it seems like a lot more female people coming into like just collecting and stuff in
Yeah,
general,
yeah.
which is cool. But so do you see this trend continuing, especially as they actually do start printing money
Yeah.
and all that? Obviously, these corrections, come and go, and I'm sure you're not so paid attention to the charts day to day. But do
Mhm.
you think that gold and silver have kind of put in kind of a longer term bottom and this trend continues for years to come, obviously with corrections in between?
Yeah, well, we'll see how this plays out. I mean, this is massive today. 25%. Before I came on, I looked, the silver price is down 25%. So it's going to take a little while for this to settle out. Maybe it's a little bit lower. I think we're around $90 an ounce with silver. Please don't pull the chart up. I might have a heart attack. But but uh, it's going to take a little while to play out. Silver in particular was due for a pullback and a consolidation. And it actually went a lot higher than I or anybody thought that it would before that occurred. But like whether you're talking about unicorn fart dust, Bitcoin, Apple computer stock, anytime there's a huge run up. And I would even say that this last little period, last couple of weeks, I mean, Friday last week was the first time that silver went over $100, and then it went to 120. So anytime there's a big spike like that, there's going to be a pullback. And then what we're hoping is that we'll see a consolidation with silver in particular somewhere. I mean, look, Brent, a year ago today, silver was $32 per ounce. And if you
Mhm.
told us a year ago today that silver would be, trying to build a new bottom at $90 a year later, we'd be jumping for joy, right? So, and I didn't answer your question. Yes, I do believe in the long term success for silver, gold, and crypto for that matter. I put
Yeah.
them all in the same, and I've said this a year ago. You can check me. I said silver, gold, and crypto can all do very well, I believe, for the next decade. No doubt about it, because they are going to have to print money. There's no
Mhm.
mathematical option for the Fed or for the US government, barring some aliens that come down and do some type of miraculous deed for the United States. There's no way, if you can work a base calculator, you can figure out that basically they're going to have to what's called monetize the debt, which means print money and buy the debt.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. No, I just this is the first time I've seen the seeing the silver move on the daily. That's incredible. I
Yeah,
want to
don't
talk a
show
little
that.
bit.
I don't want to see that. I'm not
Okay.
looking.
Yeah. Hey, Jesse, hide the screen. Hide the screen. No, I'm just kidding. No, but those of you guys know Jesse is my producer. I'm not talking
Yeah, we
to an
love
imaginary friend, but
we
imaginary
love
person.
and
No, but
everybody don't forget, follow Bren and retweet this, and I'll shut up and let you talk, Bren.
yeah, I
Sorry.
appreciate that, Ron. But I think it's crazy to see the like this kind of thing is just undefeated in the markets. Doesn't matter if it's gold, silver, Bitcoin.
Yeah.
If something goes on a parabolic run, almost always you're going to see some type of
Oh,
big correction. Like the harder it comes up, the faster it falls. Like that's why I think the same kind of concept on the higher time frames for crypto this cycle. I think the reason why, and we'll go into where we think it's going to go now, but the reason why I think Bitcoin didn't go, or at least I think the way Bitcoin's gone this cycle versus past cycles, instead of it going just straight up for a year, it's gone up, for a year and then corrects for 6 months. Up year, corrects for 6 months. But usually, any asset doesn't matter, gold, silver, Bitcoin. When we see these giant parabolic runs, almost always going to come down super hard. Now,
yeah.
what do you attribute this to? Was there some type of, again, I didn't really get to research anything yet. Was there any type of headline or anything that came out that
Yeah.
made this a good on?
Yeah, yes, there was, and yeah, again, I'll just rehash quickly. I think that the gold and the silver markets. I think there's two reasons why we're having this big correction today. Number one, as we've already like you just discussed, there was this parabolic section of the move, especially over the last like 2, 3, 4 weeks. That anytime anything goes straight up, it almost always at some point it has to come down and correct. But the catalyst that created it all was Trump announcing the new head of the Federal Reserve. His last name's Warsh, I believe, and that the person that he is proposing to head the Fed to replace Jerome Powell is much more hawkish than what people had anticipated. Yep, there you go. There's the headline right there. So it was a bit of a surprise. What's interesting about this guy is that he had been at the Fed just after the great financial crisis, and he was credited with kind of being one of the key people that helped navigate all these bailout programs and kind of dealt with the crisis situation after the great. So I'm just connecting dots in my head. I'm thinking, well, is Trump putting him in there because he's anticipating a crisis? Again, that's just pure speculation, but that was the catalyst that basically didn't just hurt gold and silver, but last I checked, the general markets, the Dow and the Nasdaq, everything were down because people are perceiving that this guy is going to be less accommodative of wanting to cut rates. But then you got Trump saying that he wants the Fed funds rate to be at 1%. So it's we are in unprecedented times, no doubt about it. Uh-oh. I'm muted?
Oh no, my bad. I
Oh, okay.
my screen froze out. I didn't know I was unmuted. But yeah, I think it just comes down to, again, when everything's so euphoric and everybody's just just so euphoric that any type of news like this
Yeah.
that's even at all bearish, even if it's not logical, can just cause a huge kind of liquidation. Do a lot of this is just liquidations, people using leverage, kind of how it is on crypto?
Yeah, there's a lot, and that's the other thing, especially with silver, is there's the big paper markets in the United States, the COMEX, which leverages, I think it's like last I saw was like 357 to 1, is like they call it the paper to physical ratio. So yeah, and we could go on for hours, but there are people who spent their careers basically proving that since they created these futures markets for silver back in, I think it was 1974, that the price has been purposely manipulated. And there's even some documents that were released as part of WikiLeaks that said just that. So yeah, there's a lot of leverage. And then I think even some on the crypto side, there's been some leverage products that were somehow tied to silver and gold that came on
Mm.
the scene as well.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. A few more questions on the metals before we move on to crypto, and a few other things. Does a lot of people talk about, you see Michael Saylor, a few others, talk about how, potentially they could, I forgot how they do it, but take, some of the gold on the balance sheet or whatever and use it
Yeah.
to buy Bitcoin.
Mhm.
Do you find that plausible or something that could or probably will happen?
Yeah, there's all types of speculation about the gold that the United States has at Fort Knox. Now, it has not been officially audited for like decades and decades. The last time that there was any official, I guess, signal that it was there was Steve Mnuchin. He was I think, the Treasury Secretary, maybe under Trump the first time around, and he took a picture with his girlfriend in front of all this gold. Um, yeah, I mean, and there's two. I've heard two ideas of what could be done with that gold. One would be, like you said, to sell the gold and buy Bitcoin. The other one is that they could actually revalue the gold up to like a much higher market price. Because right now it's carried on the balance sheet of the treasurer of the Treasury Department. It's I think it's still carried at like $34 an ounce. So there's this speculation, again, I'll emphasize that at some point they could say, well, we're going to revalue gold to $27,000 an ounce or some ridiculous high number, and that they could then use that gold to help pay off. But it wouldn't even pay. It really wouldn't make much of a dent in the national debt, to be honest. To be honest with you, another interesting point, Bren, and I'll say this quickly, is that the current Treasury Secretary, what's his name, Scott Bessent, he's a gold bug from way back. He's always been a big fan of gold. So, and Trump's been a big fan of gold. Trump, at some point, like 15 years ago, was taking rent on some of his properties in gold. So, well, it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out.
100%. Last thing, what are your like gold and silver targets for by like the end of the decade or like 10 years from now? Where do you see silver specifically?
I just people look. People would have thought I was crazy There's a video going around of me from 3 years ago saying silver can get to $85 an ounce. And BitBoy J, I don't know if you know BitBoy J. I think he's the
Yeah.
one that found it. And people said I was crazy. I mean, I used to get hate mail like you're lying to people and you're a thief. And, I mean, a lot of people love me, don't get me wrong. But as you know, being on the public, you get all types of different feedback.
Yeah.
Literally, if you ask me 10 years from now, if I pull out my calculator and I do have a degree in accounting and I look at the national debt and I look at the deficit and I look at what's going on in the world geopolitically and I look at the fact that since 1971, when President Nixon took the United States, we were on the gold standard. Our money was backed by gold up until 1971.
Yeah.
Since he took us off the gold standard, the dollar has lost 99% of its value versus gold. Quick answer to your question, though, Brent. I think because if we measure everything in dollars, right? We use the U.S. dollar as the unit of measure.
Hmm.
If you think that the U.S. dollar continues down the path that it's been going down, and then you factor in now that we've got so much more debt and the world's a different place, I'll say, I could see 10 years from now silver at like, above $1,000 an ounce. And silver is like in high demand for solar panels, electronics. I mean, silver, we use more silver every year than we do mine. So there's a deficit. Silver, gold, I would say, I don't know, 16,000 or
Okay.
60, somewhere in there.
Gotcha. Okay. So it's kind of just like the perfect mix of, scarcity,
Yeah.
geopolitical stuff,
Yeah.
the debasement of the dollar.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense. And then let's go ahead and move on to crypto.
Yeah. Let's do it.
So Bitcoin, to you, I mean, just your experiences in markets, you've lived through a lot of bear markets, bull markets, and all different kinds of in crypto metals, everywhere. That's kind of the question on everybody's mind in crypto right now is in two different camps on whether, this is a correction like we saw a few times, this bull market, or if this is more of a longer term bear market like 2022. What are your thoughts? Are you getting more bull market vibes, bear market vibes? Kind of, or what are your thoughts?
I am not a crypto expert. I've been in crypto for 13, 14 months. Prior to that, I thought crypto was all unicorn fart dust, which is why I called the coin that I created unicorn fart dust. What I can tell you is this. The last year, because the first couple of months that unicorn fart dust was around, we were still in kind of a bull market feeling. But the last, I don't know, 8, 9, 10, let's say the last 10 months have felt very similar to what the last 10 years felt like in the precious metals sector.
Mhm.
But because things happen so much quicker in crypto, I think that it can turn around much more quickly. And I
Mhm.
do believe that crypto will be adopted much more universally, that the adoption rate, the percentage of people that use crypto will continue to go up because there's just so many benefits to crypto. I do also think that crypto needs to clean its act up a little bit, but I won't go down that path, and it's not for me to do. But I think that that as we move into the next, let's say, 5, 10 years, that crypto will continue to evolve, and that more and more people will come in, and that there's going to be a lot of big bull markets in the world of crypto.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's just kind of similar how gold and silver are kind of lining up with all these different perfect
Yeah.
like things. Like I think everything outside of price action, which is pretty crazy, it happened. No one really knows. Maybe 10-10, what happened in October and 10-10. Maybe there's some entity that's still having to sell off or something.
Right.
But either way, everything other than price, we're talking, institutional stuff, regulatory stuff, risk assets are up, and then macro, all that stuff is kind of coming together, especially with the adoption side. That whether we are kind of entering a longer bear or this is the bottom, and we go up from here. I think, like I agree with you, over the next few years, I think it's kind of the perfect storm. And
Mhm.
obviously, not everything's going to go up, but it's obvious that the financial world is trying to make stable coins and digital wallets more popular, which I
Yeah.
think eventually will leak into even to the smaller, more speculative stuff. So
Yeah.
I 100% agree. Now let's go into meme coin, or let's actually, before that, the you kind of mentioned how the industry kind of needs to get cleaned up. Do you think the Clarity Act will play a big role in that? Overall, what do you think the Clarity Act will do for crypto in the industry? Kind of, you know, do you think it'll legitimize it? Do you think a lot more founders and stuff will come into the industry? What are your thoughts on the Clarity Act, kind of in general?
Yeah, and I'm not an expert on the Clarity Act, so I want to say that first, but I have a kind of a broad understanding of it. And I will say this, I think that a certain level of regulation that doesn't stymie the original ethos of crypto, of decentralization, of it being for the people, by the people, could actually be pretty good overall for the crypto sector. I don't think that we want big business or government to completely take over in crypto, and I don't think that that will be the case. So I'm optimistic about what it can do overall for the world of crypto, because I think you touched on this. We want the other 90% of people out there. A lot of my people around my age, right, the Generation X, and even some of the Boomers, we want them to feel safe and secure about what they do in the world of crypto. And I think that the Clarity Act can be a really great step in the right direction.
100%. And I know there's going to be more, those bills to come, but yeah, I think it is a step in the right direction and gives founders at least like a clear framework to go off of.
Yeah,
But we talked a little bit on the last time you were on here about, UFD, which I want to get
yeah,
into, but meme coins in general. I'm a big believer that online communities and online movements are going to continue to grow.
yeah,
Kind of the thoughts, kind of everybody's kind of just discussed, like, just not talking much about meme coins right now. It's kind of not the cool thing to talk about, but I do think that on this next leg, whenever Bitcoin does go up, there's going to be a select few movement coins
mhm.
from the last few years, probably including UFD, and a lot of these others that will come out of this. But what are your thoughts on meme coins going forward, and how has it been kind of continuing to navigate this time where meme coins have kind of been kind of dead?
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think meme coins are very cool. And I think that, again, I hate to keep saying this, but like, I'm 55 years old, and 30 years ago, if you told me that we would have this opportunity, right? The technology that you and I are sharing right now, wherever you are in the world, wherever I am in the world, and that we're connecting with people all over the world, right? And that we could also have this gift of Web3 to build communities, and then layered on top of that, right, is this ability to have crypto and the blockchain in an equal opportunity for everybody. I think memes are cool. I mean, and I think that memes, especially a project like UFD, which is, I think we have this superpower in that we're really easy to understand, we're really transparent, and that we are really welcome to everyone, right? As long as people just want kind of, to be in a community that fosters integrity and honesty and wants to do some good things in the world, that it's just, an incredible time to be able to build this and to build the community. And you hit the nail on the head, man. I mean, the community is everything. I'm not here. I mean, I had no clue, Brent, when I sat right over there in my basement and quote unquote was the dev of Unicorn Fart Dust, which was filling out 4 fields on a form on a launch pad,
Yeah.
that a community could create this, right? I mean, and I got a list, a partial list of like things that we're doing, things that are going on. And memes are timeless. And I promise I'll shut up, Bren, but memes are timeless, right? Like, um, Unicorn Fart Dust, which I like to use as my favorite example, isn't dependent on like some great promise of some great technological advancement that we're going to do in the world of crypto. I mean, we are like really easy to understand and very fun and very welcoming. And we have our new IP that we're just registering that has, this image of a unicorn. And to me, it's kind of like, I keep using this example like Santa Claus, right? Like we all have an image of Santa Claus in our head, and I'm not saying Unicorn Fart Dust is on the same level as Santa Claus or anything like that, but it's kind of that same feeling, if that makes sense.
No, yeah, 100%. I love that. I wanna get into the IP stuff and everything, but I 100% agree. I think it's all about the people for sure.
Mhm.
That's the only coins that survive out of these times. Which has been a brutal like last few years in meme coins in general. Obviously, we've had Bitcoin and
Yeah,
ETH gotta go up. But Bitcoin only went up for like 3 months last in April, which didn't give time for a lot of the meme coins to really heat up. But I do think it's like you said, it's all about the people. The only ones that I think really will survive are ones like UFD, SPX, all these people that
yeah,
continue to
yeah,
push and are just kind of delusional bulls through these times. So I'm super optimistic on UFD. Still see a lot of the people in the comments and just on Twitter in general. So I think just these people, these communities like your guys that survives will, when there is good crypto conditions, will inevitably attract a lot of people. So
yeah,
as far as UFD, you said the IP. I think that's really interesting. I kind of like how Troll, another meme coin, also bought the IP, which obviously you can guys. I want to hear what you guys are doing with it, but obviously buying the IP allows you to do anything with with the image to track more attention to the community.
yeah.
What have you guys been doing with the IP specifically, and kind of what are some things we can look forward to?
Sure,
With
sure. Well,
UFD?
it's still rather fresh and new. I think it was just 6 or 7 weeks ago that we announced that we have the IP. So we've with the US Patent and Trade Office, it's our cartoon character or our meme, I guess you would call it. Dusty, we call him. And then also the name UFD, Unicorn Fart Dust. And what it really does is protects what the community has built, right? I mean, it's really for the community. The community's wide open. They can use it for, making memes, doing whatever they want with, but we just want to have it in place for two reasons. Number one, because it creates opportunities, right? Bigger companies that, who knows, right? Want to make cartoons or want to do or want to make stuffed animals, or somebody might want to make a drink at some point, whatever it is that we needed to have that in order for those opportunities to work, because any of the bigger companies that had reached out to me previously, that was always their first question: do you have the IP? And like, no, we don't have the IP. So of some of our community members who know a lot about these things, spent a lot of time and a lot of money to make it happen. And now it creates more and more opportunities for us as we go into the next year. I am under what do you call that? I mean, we
NDA.
have yeah, right. So I think I can say I'm under an NDA, but yeah, I mean, we've got a couple things, but there will be, like you said, this has been a brutal period of time for meme coins, right? Because that's the sector I'm in. I mean, I am UFD 100%. It's the only meme coin that I own, and I'm focused on it all day long. But then I get a feel, obviously, for what's going on in the meme coin sector in general. I think as the community continues to build this incredible foundation of really great people and continues to generate, I always say our community is our utility. Like, we're real simple, we're real easy to understand, whether it's DJ Litmus or the promotional car that they built, or, we're in this big trading competition right now with Kraken. We're going to be at MemeCon. I'm reading off my list. I mean, it's just a few of the things going on, but that as the market gets better, and I do agree with you too that there's going to be a handful of memes that Crypto Vic, I don't know if you know him, but he said
Yeah.
he thought there'd be a meme coin hall of fame at some point, and that really resonated with me. And I really felt like, we're going to be there,
Mhm.
and we don't need to rush anything, right? And that there's going to be some big opportunities, because I'm telling you, and then I promise I will be quiet again, Bren. But I'm telling you, man, the people in UFD, the people that over the year as this project and this community evolve, the people that are in this project are, I would put them up against anybody. I would let them babysit my 5-year-old twin daughters. And they're older now, but when they were five, I mean, like, I've met a lot of these people in all walks of life. But the people that come, what's interesting about UFD is the people that stick in UFD are like the highest quality people, right? Because you know how
Yep.
crypto is. People have a short attention span, and
Yep.
so anyway, that's all. I'll be quiet now.
No, not. I like how you say always say that, but no, it's just you notice I'm just completely quiet because I'm just sucking up all the uh the alpha. But Duster, what was I gonna say? Also, if you guys have any questions or comments for the last few minutes for Ron, let us know in the chat. But I 100% agree. It just goes with crypto in general. It's like most people come and go during these times, but the people that really do stick around are like the crazy fanatics, the people that I've just made so many good friends during these times that really stick around.
Mhm.
So I 100% agree. So, you said you got the IP stuff going on. Anything else with UFD that we can look forward to in the short term?
We are going to be at the MemeCon conference, which
Mhm.
is April 28th. It's like right in the middle of the Bitcoin conference, which is the 27th through the 29th in Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm going to be a speaker there. I don't know if I'm keynote speaker or if I'll be out in the parking lot, but I'll be speaking there. And we're going to have a meetup as well. A lot of the UFD community is going to be converging on Las Vegas, Nevada. We're going to do a March of the Unicorns on one day where I'm telling you, Brim, we're going to have thousands of people marching with us for the idea that good attracts good. We're going to test it out. We're excited about that. We got the Kraken meme coin contest. There's a lot more I'm forgetting. I'll remember as soon as we get done. But one thing that really excited me, and I think this applies to all crypto and all meme coins as well, is um, the Coinbase, that now you can buy unicorn fart dust on Coinbase. And it was kind of rolling out over the last 2 or 3 weeks. But people can just go on Coinbase. And when it happened for me, because I was not one of the first people, I kept checking my Coinbase. I thought it's never going to, like when you're waiting for a package to show up from Amazon. And,
Yeah.
and finally it showed up, and I was like, it was really one of the, top 20 happiest moments. I'm like, wow, you
Uh,
you can buy. So, yeah, there's a lot going on, and there's a lot going on. Look, UFD is a project that is run by the community. So I wish we could poll everybody out there, because there's a lot going on that I don't even really know about per se.
mhm.
So yeah,
That's
it's
how you know you
exciting.
have a great community when it's kind of taken on a life of its own.
That
But
that was what I hoped for. Yes, and that's what's happening.
that's awesome. Well, yeah, no, I love the good attracts good thing. Again, I'm sure you guys are already one of the few probably communities that are already attracting people right now just from the fact of they kind of love the community.
Yeah.
You see that in some of these other kind of NFT projects and stuff like that, and that's why a lot of them have survived for 4 or 5 years. And I
Yeah.
see a lot of that in UFD. So super optimistic, super, haven't sold any of my UFD from, that I bought a few months ago from the
You
last
mean you
stream.
you mean you're a duster?
Oh yeah, of course. Of course I'm a
All right,
duster.
horns up. Huh?
Let's go.
Horns
Um,
up.
but no, this has been great, Ron. I know you probably got to go. It's 10:45 right now, but I've been meaning to. I wanted to do this with people on the stream. I know, especially with you, because you have so much knowledge and so much experience. In investing in general. For somebody who's been in the market, maybe came into crypto this last couple years, or just in the markets in general. Maybe they missed the gold trade or silver trade. Maybe they didn't, but it's been like a kind of a rough year, just an interesting last few years. What are some words of advice that you can give, maybe some of the newer traders or just people that have had a crazy last, year in the market?
Yeah, one thing I've learned as I've gotten older is patience and discipline. Look, I'm not a financial advisor, but I would be, whether you're talking about gold, silver, stocks, always be careful, excuse me, with leverage, because you don't want to put yourself in a position. Be responsible. You don't want to be in a position with anything, right? Gold, silver, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, meme coins, anything where you could potentially, have a catastrophic type loss. And that, if you believe in something, and you really get into it, like I did with silver, for instance, stick to it. I mean, be open to hearing other people's perspectives, but stick to it. And when it comes to meme coins, uh, you know, go with projects that you feel like you can trust. I'll tell you my little analogy that I think really represents what's going on in the meme coin sector now. Bren, can I have like 2 more minutes? Is that okay?
Of course, brother.
Yeah.
Have as much time as you.
So the way I look at the meme coin sector right now, have you ever been to like a county fair or a state fair in your life?
Of course, yeah.
Okay, so you go to the state fair, and if the fairgrounds are the meme coin sector, you got to enter through the gate. So you get your Phantom wallet or whatever, you get your wallet, whatever. And the way I see the meme coin sector now is you go into the gate and there's all these booths and all these games and all these different, those are all the different meme coins. And unfortunately, a lot of them are a scam, right? I mean, I don't want to cast shade, but we know what goes on out there.
Yeah.
There's a few fair games. There's the lemonade stand. Maybe it's not real lemonade, but whatever. And then as you're walking around, people are trying to pickpocket you and rob you, right? Because there's all these people trying to drain your wallet and everything else. But there are some really good booths at the state fair. There's other great meme coin. SPX 6900 has one. Pingu has one that's fair, right? And when I think about Unicorn Fart Dust, I like to think we're like, because all the state fairs have them, like the 4-H tent, right? Where you can go in and they got free bag of goodies for you, and you can pet some animals and have some fun. So that's what I see, and I think that what we want to have happen in the meme coin sector is that unfortunately a lot of people go into that state fair and they do get pickpocketed or they do get ripped off at one of the booths. That we want people, and then they leave and they go tell their friends, don't go to the state fair. We want people to come in and to have a good experience. And I say this is my opinion, right? Because I'm not the CEO of Unicorn Fart Dust. I'm just like everybody else. But I say we want to lead by example. And the way we do that is by showing up every day, being trustworthy, having integrity. And really, I think it's our mission is to show, right, along with other great projects out there, that like good and fair, right, that aligns with the original ethos of crypto. And that even in meme coins, that like good and fair and being transparent and honest and just having some integrity will win and can win. And I do feel like that's happening.
100%. Yeah, I think the only saving grace of meme coins in general to make it like a long term thing is like the coins like UFD, SPX that
Yeah.
have like real movements behind it. And the fact that these coins have been washed out 90% multiple times is actually like a
Mhm.
feature because, like you said, these unfair meme coins, even a lot of these great meme coins now have started out where they were super bundled and everything. These big corrections actually allow for the supply to get super distributed.
Yeah.
And once they actually do come out, it's actually a super bullish thing. So
Yeah.
100%. And I love what you guys are doing. So much down to the even the saying, the good attracts good. And I have no doubt you guys are going to attract a lot of great people, especially
Yeah.
as crypto conditions improve. So
Yeah. And you know what, Bryn? Most people are good. I mean, and I'll say this about crypto as well. Most of the people that buy crypto and buy meme coins, the vast, vast, vast majority of them are really good people, right? And I think most of the people in the world are good. And I didn't look. I had no strategy behind starting Unicorn Fart Dust, but the fact that we do that, like that's our mantra. We've got a pretty big market of people. If you think that most people in the world are good, that might become interested in our project.
100%. I love
Yeah.
that. Um, Ron, I know we probably went over your time, which I really
You're fine.
appreciate you going, but I'll let you get back to your day. I appreciate you
All
so
right.
much for coming on, and definitely need to do it again soon. You gave us so much insight, and a lot of people are wondering like what the hell is going on with gold and silver lately. So thank you
Yeah.
so much for your time, and I hope you have a great rest of your week, sir.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Bren. It's a big honor to come on here with you. And anytime, okay. I enjoyed our first conversation. I've enjoyed this one. And I know that the UFD community, I can speak for them that they appreciate you as well. You're a smart guy and you're a good guy. So just reach out anytime and have a great rest of your day.
All right, thank you so much, Ron.
All right.
Everybody, go ahead and shoot. Oh,
Thanks,
what's right there?
Jesse. Thanks, Jesse, for your help. Bye. There he is. All right. See you
I
guys.
appreciate you, Ron. Thank you
Yep.
so much.
All right. Bye bye.
Yeah. Everybody, oh, it looks like I'm not sharing my screen on the thing, um but yeah. Anyway, yeah, everybody go ahead and shoot Ron a follow. That was great. Let me know if you guys in the chat here, if you learned a lot. Again, me even with the gold and silver stuff, there's so much going on in crypto that I definitely was caught off guard by this move in gold and silver, and the fact that I just definitely was not really invested, which is fine. Again, I'd rather be invested in crypto as as this correction finishes up, whenever that is. If you guys are still here, let me know in the chat where you guys are tuning in from. If this is your first time in the stream, we're going to go ahead and talk about Bitcoin, obviously, which is on a lot of people's mind here. If you guys have been on the stream or been following the Twitter here for a bit, you know that this 81K level on Bitcoin is super crucial. My base case since November has been that this consolidation that we're seeing on Bitcoin at 81K very likely acts as a base that pushes us back above 94K. We've been playing in this consolidation for almost 9 weeks now. It's been fucking monotonous for sure. Um, I thought maybe this move right here would have maybe taken us above there, but again, we didn't get the weekly candle close above that 94K high, which is really the biggest confirmation for me, which has been the confirmation during every one of these corrections that's taken us back to all-time highs. So what I think we really want to see here on Bitcoin is over the next week or two, whether it be straight from here or sorry, my screen's slowing down a bit. Or after a bit of chop, we want to see around this area Bitcoin more or less hold around 81K above or below for several more days and then push higher. If we can finally push above that 94K area, I think we easily push back into 100K. And I think the setup is the same setup we've seen make up the bottom of every correction of the last 3 years, which is a consolidation of 3 to 8 weeks. This time has been the biggest consolidation yet. So again, if and when we can hold this low here on Bitcoin, over the weekend, going into next week, maybe a bit longer. I think if we get that shift off of that low, we do push above 94K, that's going to push us back to 100K plus. Now, what would invalidate this setup is if Bitcoin gave us two weekly candle closes, meaning this weekly candle and then the next one below this 81K low. If that was the case, then we're very likely looking at a bear market in Bitcoin, like 2022, in the sense that it probably does extend a bit further. But really, guys, whether we push up from here, which I think is more likely, or we somehow come down and go under 80 again, I think it's just a matter of weeks or months before this next bull run starts. And everything in the macro, everything else is lining up for crypto to have a ton of adoption. We just really want to see Bitcoin hold this low here. This is what we've been anticipating for weeks. If you guys have been, like I said on Twitter, actually happened on one of the streams here, November 28th. I talked about exactly this. Bitcoin had just put in that 81K low. And I talked about how we want to see multiple weeks of consolidation here to kind of solidify that bottom. And that's exactly what we got. So if we can hold this low here on Bitcoin and shift off back into the 80s, I think Bitcoin is going to finally see that move back into the hundreds. And at that point, if we do see a move back into the hundreds, I think sentiment shifts very quickly. People get very risk on. And personally, I don't really see the fundamental bear case for Bitcoin at that point going back into a bear market. Now, you have a lot of smart people, though, and why I'm open to the possibility of being going to a longer bear market is you have really smart people like Benjamin Cohen. His bear case or his base case is that Bitcoin doesn't see a bottom, at least like a final bottom, until later this year in June. I want to find this chart he had here. Um, he tweets a lot, but he pretty much just his base case is that Bitcoin's going to go into a bear market, for into summer, possibly into October. Which, while I think that's definitely possible, I think we have to definitely respect, at least for now, this consolidation we're in here of 9 weeks. And if and when we can shift off here on the lower time frames, which we are doing right now, again, we have to see some more follow through for a longer period of time. But if that's able to happen, I do think we shift here back, and at least bounce. And I could see a bear market playing out more so after a bounce and then something like this. But Yeah, I think what's more likely to happen is we bounce from here and push to 100K. But we'll have to go and see that play out. I think the fact that we're going into the weekend is good. Hopefully, again, we just chop here going into next week and kind of solidify a bottom here at 81K. And really, if we push back above 90, that will be a really good sign that we're going to push back above that 94K high. So, what's up, Tribe Called Rex? How you doing? Tuning in from England, it seems like. Appreciate everybody for being here, spending your Friday with me, hanging out with the Basement Ron stream. I wanted to have him on again. The guy knows a lot about gold and silver, and I think what I took from that stream is that, again, wow, this isn't the last hour. Silver is getting crushed. It's bouncing now, but like he said, he thinks it's going to take a while to recover, which is interesting. I mean, damn, that is incredible. All the way down to the daily. What is this? The 50. Jeez, that is insane. That is a almost a 50% move in a matter of, sheesh, 30% move in a day on silver. That is incredible. Let me know in the chat what you guys think of gold. Do you are you buying it here? Me personally, usually these corrections, more often than not, like you said, do take a while to correct. So maybe you get something like that, in which case then I'd probably be more of a buyer. But um, but yeah, it just goes to show really that doesn't matter if it's gold, silver. If something goes parabolic, there's a really good shot that you're going to see at least corrections that are very parabolic in nature as well. So let's go ahead and check up on S&P 500. Still kind of playing around at this major high here. We really want to see this clear this high, or else you're at risk of kind of playing around in a 3-month consolidation as well. But I think what's likely to happen is the S&P 500 finally pushes out of this little zone here. And then the US 100 is same kind of thing. This is the Dow Jones. We really want to see it clear the 26,000 high, but I think it does. But yeah, let's see what else has been going on in the markets lately. I'll probably hang out here for another. Is that gold and silver move manipulated? I don't really know. I don't really like to look at the market as like it's being manipulated. Obviously, there's people who, market makers and stuff who go for stops and do a bunch of stuff like that. But I think overall, this is driven by just demand from big banks and stuff. The whole debasement thing, like Ron was saying. But I appreciate everybody who's sharing the stream and everybody from the UFD community, everybody who tuned in. I'm going to go ahead and hang out for a bit longer here. What is he?
And then it was like, how do I do as many?
Do that. The carnage continues. 15 trillion wiped off out of the gold and silver. Gold down 8%, silver down 20. This is the largest liquidation event in human history. What's Peter Schiff have to say about this?
Gold. Central banks are buying gold to back up their currencies. They're getting rid of dollars. They're getting rid of treasuries. We are headed for an economic crisis, again, that will make the 2008 financial crisis look like a Sunday school picnic. The biggest difference between the crisis that we're about to have and the one we had back then is this one is all in America. It's not going to be exported to the rest of the world. It's not a global financial crisis. It's an American financial crisis. The rest of the world is actually going to benefit.
I need to get
the dollar's going to collapse.
Oh, he's not even talking about the crash. But yeah, dude, Peter Schiff is up crazy. But yeah, it's a real quiet time, guys. Again, I think really this low is just obviously super Am I sharing? These lows on Bitcoin are obviously a super crucial point. We've been talking about this for a while. If we do shift up here, I do think the market as a whole does see a resurgence, and vice versa. If we were to break through this 81K low, that probably would mean some more downside. But really, why is my shit so slow today? Really, the thing to pay attention to is, again, whether we go up here or not. I do think there's a good shot we do, or we head lower. And let's say we got the worst of the worst bear market we've ever had, which I don't see the reason why we would, as far as anything fundamental wise. But let's just say we got the worst bear market, just like November 2022. That was only a 12 months peak to top. Essentially, we've already seen 3 months, more than 3 months, almost 4 months peak to top. Worst case scenario, even if we were to see the worst bear market in history, that'd be just another 7 or 8 months. I know it's not fun, but there's just no world, I think, where we're going to enter some 2 or 3 year winter where crypto just dies out and we're just fucked. Nothing's going to happen. I think the very worst case scenario, we're in this for several more months. And, on the other side is true adoption that I think is going to send everything. Right. But with that being said, I think that's very likely if we do bounce here that we do just have a quicker resurgence here. So we really want to see what happens at this low. Right now, we are getting good rejection. Before I place any long positions or do anything else, I really want to see how this daily candle close happens for Bitcoin. Of course, this reaction here is bullish, but what I'd really like to see for like a kind of final confirmation for Bitcoin is some type of consolidation above or below this 81K level. Like if it's able to hold it for 2, 3, 4 days and then do a shift like this, I think that'd be a lot more bullish, to be honest. But yeah, with that being said, I think this boredom is just always what we see during these bottom of these corrections. And to be honest, it's definitely not a fun time in the markets. But what I think it is fun is just always remembering what the fuck happens on the other end of it when you continue to come on streams and stay focused, stay involved in the communities and stuff like that. So honestly, like Basement Ron said, the people who are still here are fucking fanatics. Artemis 2 from NASA is launching next bit on the week. Be on the lookout for the token on ETH. Right on, bro. Thanks for sharing. Oh, what did Ziggy asked about ETH? So ETH, same kind of thing as Bitcoin. If it's able to hold this low at 27, I think we shift back to the upside and head above 33. And then vice versa, if we're to close below here, I think it does probably go back into the 2000s. But again, every time we've consolidated for a long period like this, we've always headed back to all-time highs, or at least we bounced. So this would be the first time where if we were to crush down, lower, that would be kind of a first time. This time is different thing. And I just don't see that as likely. So yeah, we want to see ETH push back over the next few days, especially, or the next few weeks, especially if it can close above the 3,100 high here. That would kind of be a really strong trigger as well. But yeah, we just got to see how prices react around these highs. Let's see Apple, Tesla, same kind of thing, playing around at these major highs. We definitely want to see these guys crush through. Looks like Apple's in a shorter term correction. I would think that Apple probably finishes and goes higher here soon too. But yeah, I think sometime this year, crypto will join stocks and also maybe outperform at some point too. But we just keep getting these clean corrections on stuff like Apple. It's probably just going to continue up. And yeah, really not much going on in the markets today. Again, gold, silver, obviously. Wow, that's crazy. But let me know in the chat anything else that's going on, anything else that you guys are doing. Meme coins have been from what I've seen, just completely quiet for the last few weeks. For me, all I've been doing, guys, is just still buying and holding, accumulating. That's all you can really do is buying and holding like the coins that you have most conviction in, excuse me, and just wait out this period. But like I just said, every time April, fucking all these end of these corrections, it's been like this every time. I think it's super exacerbated this time because there's just been about a year that meme coins and a lot of these alts and stuff that haven't really moved. So just got to stick it out. That's it. And shout out to everybody that's still here though, for real. Yeah, I agree. I'm looking to bid around 26 to 27. Are you gonna long it? Yeah, we are at 27.45 right now. So yeah, if we get a shift above 3,000, I think it's gonna be on, and then shift towards 4,000 more than likely. But with that being said, we're at about an hour. I'll probably hang out for a few more minutes and then we'll call it. If you guys are still on here, shout out to Savvy for liking the stream. Shout out to everybody in the V Friends community. Shout out to everybody who's still sticking around during this time. It's been an interesting year in general. Lots of opportunity, but also lots of boredom. Shout out to everybody who's been a gold bug, silver bug, who caught that. But I think it just goes to show, like we were talking about with Ron, that doesn't matter what market it is, undefeated. The faster something falls, usually almost always, whether it be a couple days after, a couple weeks after, 6 months after, very likely going to see a big correction or a big washout period. And that's why I think Bitcoin up until this point has done so well. And it's because instead of just going up only for a year, it's has these nice corrections in between, which I think are very healthy. So gold, I personally, may look to start like a long position on maybe this Forex broker that I have, if and when we get some more consolidation on gold. But other than that, really just accumulating the core coins, waiting this out. And like I said, if you're really waiting for a confirmation to be more risk on chart wise, I would say really look at the 3,400 high for ETH and then that 94K high for Bitcoin. If and when we do close above there, I think the rest of the market lights up. I think we see as ETH starts to head towards all-time highs, we start to see a lot of the strong NFTs, the V Friends, the Good Vibes Clubs, the Chimpers, the Quirkies, obviously apes, pudgies, all that start to come back to life, and floor price. And really, I think conditions are everything. We're kind of just waiting for conditions to improve, but just taking the investor approach and just sticking around has always done well for me on the other sides of these things. So with that being said, though, guys, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Like I said, I'm going to go ahead and be back on Tuesday. I think we are going to have Greeny and Craig on. If most of you guys know them, but if not, check them out. We're going to continue to talk about what's going on in the market. I want to continue this year, even during these times, especially to have on cool people, hear their stories. People like Ron, who has expertise on gold and silver. Just, different, smart, interesting people. So if you want to come on the stream or somebody who'd be a great guest, definitely hit me up. And I appreciate everybody for being on here and hanging out with us. I will be back on Tuesday at 11 a.m. PST. Look out for the announcement on that. Definitely check out the other socials. If you guys could do me a favor and shoot me a follow on TikTok, Instagram, really making an effort this year to expand on there. Obviously, Bossman Calls Telegram channel if you aren't already in there. And with that being said, I love every single one of you. I hope everybody has a great rest of your week. Have a safe weekend. And like always, I think the best is yet to come. I hope everybody has a great weekend. Peace.